Over the past decade of working and traveling in more than 100 different countries, I've had some absolutely insane jobs around the world. From working at a government agency in Ireland to running vibrant nightlife events in Croatia, my journey has been anything but ordinary. In this video, I will break down all these fascinating jobs I've worked while traveling and working around the world. But by the end of the video, you'll actually learn how to make money in any country utilizing resources to get started today. Essentially, you'll discover how to get paid to travel around the world without needing a large following or a personal brand. So kicking off was my first job working for a government agency in Ireland. So this was one of my first jobs, and it was a really cool internship during my early 20s in Dublin. I landed an internship with a political party in Ireland, and this definitely wasn't your average desk job. It involved traveling across the country, organizing some events online, and engaging with local communities. This position not only honed my professional skills, but it gave me a deep appreciation for Ireland's rich culture, history, and their politics. This was one of the things where I realized how interesting and how connected you can get while working abroad in another country. I got to make some lifelong friends at this position and just get a little bit more depth of my experience of working and traveling abroad. You really will never know what it's like to live like a local if you never work like a local. Now, you might be wondering how I actually landed this job, and it was through a study abroad referral. So essentially, I studied abroad in Italy. The next year, I applied to be a student manager leading the whole study abroad program and was selected. Fast forward to the next year, we grew the program to where, again, it was about to be shut down and we were able to salvage it. Doing this gave me a lot of good respect inside the study abroad community and at the university. So the next year when I was seeking an internship abroad, I reached out to the coordinator and they were able to match me up with a really top-notch internship overseas in Ireland. And again, you'll notice a trend here that almost every job was, hey, you have a relationship with somebody, you prove to them that you can work hard and deliver results, and then you ask for something in return. Hey, could I have a connection for this type of thing I'm looking for? Hey, I'm looking for this type of thing. Do you know anybody yourself or know somebody you can refer me to connect the dots? This is essentially how networking works, and it's been a crucial way for me to actually go ahead and find jobs overseas. Without further ado, let's go on to the next job. My first official job after graduating was teaching financial economics at a university in Prague at the age of around 21. Being a professor that young was fascinating. Fresh out of college, I was entrusted with molding minds who were pretty much about my same age, but a big portion of them were actually older. Teaching in Prague was a true eye-opener, allowing me to delve into a different academic culture while exploring the beautiful city and being able to travel. While I was living in Prague, I had the pleasure of visiting a new country every single month. I would hop on a train, go to a new place, and explore. This experience taught me the resilience and adaptability that my skills have been invaluable throughout my career. Again, you might be thinking, how does somebody in their 20s actually go ahead and get a job teaching as a professor? Flash forward back a few years where I started actually teaching at the University of Missouri, where I would teach a program for all the study abroad students. This gave me 2 years of teaching at a university, which allowed me to open up doors to teach when I graduated. Again, this was a really great position. I was only teaching about 3 times a week for a few hours, so it gave me so much flexibility to work and travel the world. This was the light bulb moment for me where I realized that I could show up in another country, land a high-paying job that would not only challenge me, but help me develop my skills. Now, one of the jobs that was probably the most fun on this list was running a pub crawl in Dubrovnik, Croatia. Yes, where Game of Thrones is basically filmed, was this historical castle town that has so much fun and amazing things to offer. I was able to live inside of a castle for a few months, run a pub crawl every night, and get paid to essentially have fun. So you might be thinking, how did I land this job? Or how does this go? Professor by day, pub crawl by night. So essentially when I was teaching as a professor, I had these summers open. So I was searching for summer jobs and I happened to know a few people in this industry. They were able to refer me to somebody else and help me find and land this really fun summer job of living and working in Croatia. One of the great things about organizing events for tourists is you got to meet people from all around the world. You also had to have a lot of fun while you're doing this, taking about 40 or 50 people out every night, making sure that they have the time of their lives was just an absolutely amazing time. And to do it in a historical castle was just a cherry on the top. Again, this was probably one of the most fun jobs on my list and probably something that you could only really do in your early 20s. So again, I'm so happy that I was able to experience this while living and working overseas. Now, this next job you might be a little surprised about, but modeling and acting in South Korea. Believe it or not, I dabbled in this while I was living and studying my MBA there. This was a very unique opportunity that came to me through some local connections, and essentially I found this job through Facebook groups and online. South Korea's entertainment industry is pretty well known, and being a foreigner who's tall gave me definitely a niche advantage. From commercials for UNESCO to music videos, the job was pretty diverse and exciting. And the cool thing about it was I actually really enjoyed it. It pushed me out of my comfort zone and allowed me to explore a creative side I never knew I had. Again, this job also introduced me to a ton of new people that I never would have met outside of my friend circle, and it just opened up a lot of opportunities. The downside about this was it was very up and down, meaning you would go to castings, waste a lot of time. Once you landed those gigs and they finished, you would have to go through this whole cycle of up and down. Again, this is why I didn't do this longer term, but it was a really fun job to have while I was studying my MBA. The next few jobs that I had overseas were a pivotal moment where I was able to actually land my first remote jobs. This was for working in tech startups in Australia and New Zealand, where I was able to work remotely or have some sort of hybrid structure. This was back in 2014, where remote working was not commonplace at all, and being able to show up and work in Australia and New Zealand was very exciting. You can essentially, as an American, get a online visa that allows you to work at pretty much any company in Australia or New Zealand for up to a year. The New Zealand visa was actually free for Americans, but the Australian one I think costs around $300. The startup scene is actually pretty vibrant and innovative in Australia and New Zealand, where they have a little bit more of a work-life balance built in, but they still expect you to get results. Going into these situations, looking for something else, where 90% of people that I met in Australia or New Zealand were looking for backpacker jobs, working on fields, fruit picking, doing these kind of manual labors, where I went in and I didn't meet one other person that went in with this approach to find a more career business-oriented job for tech startups. I think having that mindset actually gave me a unique advantage, and I was able to land jobs in just a few weeks on showing up to a new country. Working in these fast-paced environments taught me a lot about working online, building up my marketing and sales skills, making quick decisions, and how to run and manage a startup. And both of these jobs really helped me build the skills to land my next job. My next job was working for another startup, but unlike the other ones in Australia and New Zealand, where I had to be living in the country physically, this job would allow me to live and work from my laptop anywhere in the world. And this is where I joined Empire Flippers as employee number 4, helped scale the team from 5 to hundreds of employees around the world, and was so exciting to build one of the fastest growing companies in America. I learned so much during my time here about the online business space, about marketing, and everything in between. This job really opened up a really strong foundation to build and buy more businesses and really scale up to where I'm at now. It was during this time I realized how truly global and connected our world has become, and it showed me that it's possible to make a lot of money online and to run a fully remote team. So during my time here, I worked there for about 4 years, but started building some of my own businesses. I published my book, I built my own websites and offerings, and I even bought my first software business. This was a crucial pivot where I realized the life that I truly wanted, to control my calendar, make as much money as I wanted to, and have the flexibility to work from anywhere, I needed to build my own businesses and start taking care of every aspect. This is why I eventually started doing things on my own, and since 2020, I've been running my own businesses and my own portfolio. But if you're wondering how you can actually go about finding a job abroad, here's a few really quick strategies that worked for me. Networking and being intentional. Again, reach out to your network and tell people you're looking for X to do Y. You'd be surprised how many opportunities arise from simply asking, do you have anybody or do you know anyone who's hiring? This is a really great approach because, again, a lot of jobs are going to help you get in the door just through people you know and in your network. They might not help you get hired, but they probably will help you at least get an interview. The next step is to just try and find a remote job. Now, in this day and age, again, there wasn't as many options back in 2013 to find remote work, but now there's so many opportunities for just about every industry. I even built a website called globalcareer.io where you can find remote jobs that aren't technical, meaning if you work in sales or marketing, there's a lot of good opportunities for you. And if you want to go ahead and work locally, you can use local job boards, or you can do things called like woofing, where you're actually working on a farm and helping somebody out in exchange for getting able to live there for free. There's also a lot of great places, like if you just go to a city, search job openings, or if you go to Craigslist, and there's usually a local website for finding jobs in every single country. These platforms are pretty much endless, but I'm gonna leave a link below where you can get some really good resources that are gonna help you find remote jobs. And if you wanna visit that, I put together a 115-page ebook which lists the top 100 remote companies out there. You can go to globalcareerbook.com/top-100 to download this book for absolutely free. Now, if you learned anything exciting in this video and you want to get alerted about new ones coming out every single week, make sure to hit subscribe. And I'm also going to leave a video up here that's been hand selected just for you.